the first and the last? Who's the first and the last? Answer the question. Answer the question. Who's the first and the last according to the Quran?
Come on,
Who's the first and the last?
Look. Don't push me. Don't push.
Chill out,
Christians don't fight Muslims. Christians don't fight Muslims.
Thank you.
Don't fight Muslims. We don't fight you. We don't fight you.
Let's look why he ran away. Yes.
Siraj.
He was God. He said, show me where Jesus said that he was God.
No,
and I showed him
No, you didn't.
where Jesus said, I am the first, I am the last. Christians say it together. Jesus said, I am the first, I am the last. I am the first, I am the last. Now Muslims.
Amen.
Now Muslims. Let me ask you this question. According to the Quran, who is the first and the last?
I will answer his
Let's
question.
ask Siraj. Siraj. According to the Quran, who is the first and who is the last? Answer that question.
Who is the first and the
According
last?
to the Quran, who is the first and the last?
Listen, everyone, be quiet. These are Christians and Muslims.
No, hold on 1 second.
No one can
Was he
Oh,
quiet when I was trying to calm down? Double standards. No one needs to
Because you are
quiet.
hypocrite coward. You know what to answer.
You weren't quiet for me.
You are coward hypocrite. That's why you know what to the answer.
So who? Answer the question. Answer the
Watch
question.
out.
Answer the question. Who's the first? Who is according to the Quran? Who is the first? Yeah, I'm listening. Siraj, I'm listening.
Shall I speak?
No,
Shall I
Siraj,
speak?
answer the question.
Yo.
Siraj, we're waiting. He's gone.
You have the mic. Siraj, you have the mic. Speak.
I'm only waiting for
Yeah,
this.
I know the answer. I'm going to
No,
embarrass
no,
you.
wait for one second, Siraj. Answer the question. What's the question, ladies and gentlemen? Who is the first and the last according to the Quran? Answer the question. Answer the question.
I'll answer. Be quiet.
No, you don't need to be quiet for this troll. He wasn't quiet. Double standards. No, I don't need to be quiet. How are you going to I'll count to 30. I'm going to give him 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. No, 30 seconds. The question is, according to the Quran, who is the first and the last?
Let him answer.
30 seconds.
Okay, so now be quiet. Okay, according to the Bible, he said Jesus claimed to be Alpha and the Omega. Yes. My first question, when Jesus was dead, how can a dead person be last? First question. Okay, number 2, he quoted an Revelation.
30 seconds. He didn't answer the question. He didn't answer the question. Let's give him another 30 seconds.
Okay.
The question is, keep your own snack bar to yourself.
He's disgusting human being.
He was Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Quran,
Siraj, answer. Come away. Sorry?
Come on, Siraj.
Siraj, yalla.
That's it, we're done. Aki, we're done.
I'm going to talk about both Quran and the Bible.
But that wasn't the question.
Let me start from the Bible.
God's not interested. He's not
20 seconds, and he still hasn't answered the question. The question is, who, according to the Quran, is the first and the last? Let's give him 10 seconds. No, 15 seconds.
I said to him, leave it. In the Bible where it states
15 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Siraj, and he still not has answered the question. The question is, according to the Quran, who is the first and the last? Let's give him 20 seconds again.
Come here and answer.
obey, to worship Allah and obey the
Why is he afraid?
Why
is he afraid to
go back to the Bible?
Because Jesus called himself the first and the last in the Bible. So my question is, why is Allah stealing the divine titles of Jesus?
Okay, that's it, we're done. Come.
Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord.
Siraj, come. Siraj, don't pull him. Come.
Jesus died.
Aki, come.
How can Jesus be Omega?
Aki, come. Leave him. Let him go. Let him go. He's run. Let him go. Let him go. Allah.
I'm going to expose
Aki, you're done.
the lies and the code of that Christian. His name is Paul. His name is Paul. So basically he said, who is Alpha and Omega according to the Bible?
Explain that, yeah.
Let me come to the Bible. In the Bible, the one who said last and Omega, Alpha and last, it's not Jesus speaking. It's a sheep with 7 horns and with 7 heads. It says that in Revelation, chapter 17, verse 14, and chapter 5, verse 6, chapter 5 again, verse 13, it explains who was saying, I'm Alpha and Omega. It says that is a sheep with 7 heads and with 7 horns. So my question to Christians, is Jesus a sheep with 7 heads and with 7 horns? The answer is no. So now my question, again I'm asking, Christians believe there was a time Jesus was dead. So my question to them, how can a dead person be Omega? How can a dead person be last? Again, in the Bible, Christians use John 1:1 to claim Jesus is God. It says, in the beginning, there was a word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. So my question to Christians again, the word which they believe is Jesus himself had a beginning. So my question to them, how can someone be God when he had a beginning? In John 1:1, it says in the beginning. So we know, all of us, we know that God has no beginning nor end. Christians believe Jesus had a beginning. That's why it says in the beginning, John 1:1, the false corrupted verse. And I refuted that verse by quoting Genesis 1:1. It says in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So according to Genesis and Old Testament, there was no word which was God. There was no word which existed in the beginning, and that word was God, and the word was with God. In Genesis it says, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So there was no word in the beginning, according to Genesis 1:1. So my next question is, devil never died, but Jesus died. How can a dead person be lost? And if someone could be God, then according to Christians' logic, devil is God, because devil never died, but Jesus died. Again, he misquoted the verse. Christians don't know Revelation 1 chapter 1 verse 17 to 18 or 13, whatever. They misquote that verse. They say it's Jesus, and I already exposed them. That verse is not Jesus speaking. John himself said, I have seen the Lamb of God, and it had 7 eyes, no, 7 horns and 7 heads, or 7 eyes, I think. It says in Genesis and Revelation chapter 17 verse 14. It says here, if I quote the verses here, I'm going to expose Christians here. Christians every time quote Revelation.
I wanted you to speak. I wanted you to speak instead before, bro.
They scared.
Yeah,
They are covered.
no. Because
They are covered.
you know how to answer, so I was like, let Siraj speak. Let you.
They are covered. Here, Christians always quote this verse where it says, I'm Alpha and Omega. But they're not quoting, they don't know who is speaking in that verse. In that verse, if we go to Revelation chapter 17 verse 14, it tells us who is that speaking. In Revelation chapter 1 verse 8 or chapter 22, here it says, it says here, no, I never finished. I'm quoting the verses, so I want to prove them wrong. Here it says, Revelation 5:6. Then I saw a lamb looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all earth. Now again, if we go to, and this is Revelation 5:6. I'm going to let Christians, to let them know who is speaking in Revelation, who said, I'm Alpha and Omega. That's not Jesus. That's a lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes. So here Revelation 17:14 again. It says they will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them, because he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and with him will be his called, chosen and faithful followers. So here my question is, Christians, I'm asking one simple question. According to the Revelation, the same book which they quote in Christians, they said Jesus said, I'm Alpha and Omega. We know who is talking in Revelation. It's a sheep with 7 eyes and 7 horns. So my question to them, is Jesus a sheep with 7 horns? Is Jesus a sheep with 7 eyes? The question is no. There was no time Jesus was a sheep, was a lamb. And as I said, according to Christians, Jesus died. on the false crucifixion. So my question to them, how can a dead person be Omega last? And according to the Bible, John 1:1, as I mentioned earlier, it says in the beginning, the Word, Jesus himself, had a beginning, according to them. So God never had a beginning. If that's the case, then Hebrews chapter 7 verse 3, Melchizedek had no beginning, had no end, no father, no mother, no genealogy. Yet, according to Christians, Melchizedek is not God, but he's more than Jesus. Jesus had a beginning and he died. And guess what? When Jesus comes, he will die. Because according to the Bible, all prophets, all mankind will die. Jesus is a prophet, according to the Bible, and he claimed to be a prophet. He said in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 57, Jesus claimed to be a prophet, and his disciples claimed Jesus to be the prophet. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, verse 19, and the crowd people called Jesus a prophet. Again, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 11. They call Jesus a prophet. And if we go to the book of Zechariah, it says chapter 1, verse 5, I think. Chapter 5, verse 1. Chapter 1, verse 5, it says, all prophets and your forefathers, where are they? All of them shall die. So according to the Bible, Jesus is a prophet. The only person who claimed Jesus yesterday, today, and tomorrow is the same as Paul the liar. And Paul the liar, he's the one who approved people to be preached false motives about Jesus. He said that in the book of Philippians chapter 1 verse 18. He said the most important thing is to preach false motives about Jesus. Paul is the one who lied about Jesus, and he approved people to preach lies about Jesus. If Jesus is a prophet, same as other prophets, there's no single verse. I challenge all Christians, all the disciples never claimed Jesus will never die. The only person claimed Jesus will be the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow is Paul. Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, all of them never claimed that Jesus will stay forever. But as I proved, according to the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, verse 5, it says here, if I quote the verse, 1 it says in the book of Zechariah, here it says, Zechariah 1:5. It says, where are your ancestors now? And the prophets, do they live forever? The answer is no. According to the Bible, Old Testament, all prophets will die. Jesus is a prophet, and I mentioned, therefore Jesus is not Omega. And Jesus had a beginning. He born. No one knew Jesus in the beginning. He never existed. If Jesus could exist in the beginning, before the world was created, then the prophets of the Bible could worship and believe in Jesus. And they could believe and practice the triune God. So the answer is clear according to the Bible. Jesus is not Alpha and Omega. all prophets must die. Paul is the liar. He said Jesus today and yesterday, tomorrow is the same. But here in the Old Testament it says all prophets shall die. Who is wrong and right according prophets of the Bible or Paul? So the answer, Paul is the liar. Jesus is not Alpha and Omega. A dead person cannot be Omega. And someone who has a God cannot be God. He's not last and he's not fast. Jesus said, I'm going to my Father and your Father, my God and your God. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Coward. What's his name? Bob is coward. The liar. Coward. I challenged him every time to come and discuss and debate with me, but he runs away to other Muslims or to his fellow Christians who does not know about Christianity and Bible. Let him come and preach me in a peaceful way. Coward. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.